Welcome to our program, Effective Manager. My name is CPA, Dr. David Muturi, and our conversation today is going to be about organizational culture. Now, organizational culture are the shared values, expectations, and practices that guide and inform the actions of a team member. That is how team members behave and relate to each other, the consistent and the authentic behaviors. So different teams, different organizations will have different values, different expectations, different practices, and that's why you'll find that some people will fit in certain organizations and will find it difficult to fit in another organization. And when we talk about the organizational culture, we are talking about what your employees would say about the place that they work. They'll say, we are focused here. Would they say, are they focused here? Everyone here cares about each other. This is a great place to learn and grow. Or we are disciplined and trusted. Or are they likely to say, here you cannot speak without fear of retribution. You don't feel trusted to do your job, or things have changed here. So we're talking about the what would be the most forthright answers about the environment in which they are working. And therefore, you'll find that the employees will relate with each other in very specific ways because of the way that they have been socialized. And when you talk about the culture here, it is affected by very many aspects. It is affected by the structures or the facilities that they use. Is affected by the behaviors. It is affected by the procedures. Now, when you talk about, say, the infrastructure, the organizational culture, the way of behavior, the expected behavior is determined even by the workspace. That is the sitting arrangement where one is assigned to work from affects the way that they perceive the organization. It affects the way that they relate with each other. And here we are saying if there is adequate provision, then you find that that sense of abundance is going to influence how the people are going to relate with each other. It's affected by the socialization. You know, the socialization, the behaviors with colleagues, the socialization with the leadership, the socialization even with the customers. That is how do they relate with each other. That's why you'll find in some organization there'll be a lot of rigidity and a lot of I would call it fear or veered respect of the leadership. And you find that when then somebody is talking to a senior person, there is the way they behave, there is the way that they interact, and that would be different in different organization. Then there'll be the behaviors amongst the team members themselves. That is how do they perceive each other. Do they feel that everybody is there by their own right, or do they feel that there are some people who receive a preferential treatment, or they feel that there are people who are indispensable? In fact, in some organizations, you'll find a lot of divisions. For example, I call divisions in quote. You'll get the people who are older there, the people who just came recently. Some will have a lot of emphasis on the young people and older people. All those are the factors that we are saying are what comprises or what makes up the organizational culture. Now, why is it important? Why is the organizational culture important to an organization? Number one, where there is a positive organizational culture, there is increased employee engagement. That is, the employees will be more engaged with their work. They'll be more engaged with the organization because the culture is positive. And remember, we have said the culture here are the expected behaviors, the shared expectations, the shared values. So where the shared values, the shared expectations are positive, then there's going to be a lot more engagement, as opposed to where the shared values are negative and they are detrimental to the well-being. The other benefit of positive organizational culture is that there is decreased turnover. People will be interested to continue working in an organization that thrives on a positive organizational culture, because people will feel respected, they will feel wanted, they will feel valued. But when the culture is the reverse, where people may feel they are not valued, they are not respected, then you'll find that they are more likely to move on. The other benefit of a positive organizational culture is a strong brand identity. Employees, team members who are positive, who are happy with the organization, who are engaged with the organization, are likely to project a strong positive brand, both within and outside. And therefore, when the culture is negative, then the brand of the organization is affected. And you may not have to look very far. Organizations around you, institutions around you, you see the kind of brand that they project because of the shared values that they have. For a corrupt organization, an institution that is known to be corrupt, you'll find that the brand is poor, and you'll find that then the expectation, the shared values is also negative, and therefore the brand identity is affected. The other benefit of a strong organizational culture is increased or improved productivity. This is as a result of the engagement that we have spoken about. Where there is a positive culture, you get the team members are engaged with their work, they are engaged with the organization, and therefore the productivity is higher. As opposed to where the values are negative, the culture is negative, and therefore the engagement is also negative, and therefore the output, the productivity is also very, very low. The other benefit that you'll obtain from a positive organizational culture is transformational power. That is, organizations that thrive on a positive culture find it very easy to transform and to change themselves as per the circumstances, as opposed to where you have negative organizational culture. It becomes very difficult to effect any form of change because there are suspicions, the values are negative, and therefore any kind of attempt to make any kind of change is usually met with a lot of resistance and a lot of suspicion. So a positive organizational culture helps the organization to transform and change fast as per the requirements of the times. The other benefit of a positive organizational culture is you get or you obtain top performers in that organization. A positive organizational culture enables people to thrive. Now, when they thrive, they are able to attain the very best of their skills, the very best of their talent, the very best of their capabilities in a positive organizational culture. And that's why you find where the organizational culture is negative, they are very likely to be, it is very unlikely that you'll get top performers in that kind of an organization, because the circumstances, the environment does not encourage the thriving of talents and capabilities. So if you're to be able to obtain top performers within an organization, within a team, then it serves very well to promote a positive organizational culture. The other benefit of a positive organizational culture is collaboration, effective teamwork. That is, a positive organizational culture promotes trust. It enables the members to reach their apex, and through that they know that it is important to collaborate. And therefore, where the organizational culture is positive, you get a lot of collaboration, you get a lot of teamwork, as opposed to where the organizational culture may be negative. The other benefit that you obtain when you have a positive organizational culture is a healthy team environment. You know, a healthy team environment, a healthy work environment where everybody feels that they are appreciated and they are able to do what they have been engaged to do. So organizational culture is one of the most important aspects of a thriving organization. It is one of the areas that every top manager, every leader needs to pay attention to. Now, how then would you be able to evaluate an organizational culture, the attributes of an organizational culture? What do you look at so that you can be able to know what kind of an organizational culture that you have? One of the most important attributes that you would pay attention to determine the kind of organizational culture that you have is respect and fairness. That is, do employees feel that they are treated with fairness and respect regardless of their position? That is there respect, is there fairness within the organization? Now, when people feel respected, they also give respect back. When they are treated fairly, they also treat others fairly. And therefore, you may need to evaluate, you may need to ask your team members whether they feel that they are treated with respect and fairness. The other important attribute that you may need to pay attention to is integrity. That is, what is the rating or what is the feel of the members as far as integrity is concerned? Do they feel that there is transparency in the communication? Do they feel that there is transparency in all aspects of the organization? Do they feel that the top leadership are persons of integrity, so that they can also be able to give the same? Now, the other important attribute is change or adaptability. That is, what is the perception of the members, of the team members, in as far as change is concerned? Do they feel, do they fear a change? Do they embrace change? Do they advocate for change? Do they challenge the status quo so that they can be able to do things better? That is another important attribute that will tell you the kind of organizational culture that you have. The other attribute that is important to consider is results orientation. That is, what is the attitude of the team members as far as results are concerned? Are they watchers? Do they just come in to clock in the time, or do they feel, do they have a responsibility? They have a responsibility for the results? Are they focused on the results? Are they interested on the result? Do they inquire about the results? Now, of course, there are organizations where the results really is not something that is very important, whereas in some of the organizations, the result is a very, very important aspect. And I say you may not have to look very far. Just look at the organizations around you, and you see the kind of organizations that will have a lot of focus on results. Or even within an organization, the departments or the sections that you have, what is the kind of the attitude that they have as far as results are concerned? The other attribute that is important to pay attention to be able to evaluate the kind of culture that you have is teamwork. That is, what is the kind of collaboration across the various departments, across the various functions, across the various heads of department, etc. Do they embrace teamwork, or do they work in silos? Is everybody on their own, or do they see Are they able to see the role of each other in as far as the collaboration and supporting each other is concerned? The other attribute that you'd find important to pay attention to is engagement. Remember, we said engagement is one of the positive aspects of a positive organizational culture. So the kind of engagement that the team members have, are they engaged with the organization? Do they feel that their talents are valued, their contribution is valued, and therefore they are willing to give even more because they feel that they are valued? But where they may feel that they are not valued, then they will not be willing to bend backwards over. They will not be willing to go beyond the normal call of duty. And that will tell you that then they are not engaged with the organization. So employee engagement is another important measure of or attribute of an organizational culture. The other important attribute that will tell you the kind of organizational culture that you have is accountability, responsibility. That is, what is the level of responsibility that the members, the team members have? Are they willing to take responsibility for their mistakes? Are they willing to be accountable to what they have committed to do? Is there any follow through in as far as the various commitments that have been made in the workplace, to follow them through, to make sure that they have been followed? Or do you have a blame culture where nobody is held accountable, nobody feels responsible? Whenever something doesn't work right, then you spend a lot more energy trying to find out who is to blame rather than trying to fix the problem. And even the person who may be responsible is not willing to take responsibility, but is instead trying to shift the responsibility to other persons. The other important attribute that will tell you the kind of organizational culture that you have are the learning opportunities. That is your organization, is your department a learning organization? Is there something that one is offered to learn every so often, that you can say, in this year, in this month or this week, I was able to learn these new skills, I was exposed to these new skills? Or is it what you'd call a dead organization in as far as learning opportunities are concerned? That is, how often, for example, do the team members get an opportunity to be trained, either internally or externally? Because sometimes when you talk about learning opportunities, people only see like you only learn when you go outside, or when you're exposed to outside learning opportunities. But the learning can also be within the organization. So what is the attitude as far as the learning is concerned? The other important attribute that will tell you the kind of an organizational culture that you have is the purpose. What is the meaning of the organization? What is the understanding of the team members in as far as the purpose of the organization is concerned? What is the narrative? What is it that you do? And this one here, it serves well when it appeals to the emotions. That is, what is it that you do that makes a difference in other people's lives, in the people that you're working with? Now, the understanding and the commitment and the repeat or the repetition of the mission or the purpose why the organization exists will also tell you the kind of organizational culture that you have. Because when the mission is clearly understood, when the purpose of the organization is clear to everybody, then you find that there is bound to be a positive organizational culture that is driven by the understanding of why you exist in the first place. The other attribute that will tell you what kind of an organizational culture that you have is communication. How frequent, how consistent, how transparent, and how effective that communication is. Many an organization, if you're to conduct an interview on the various employees, you find that there'll be a challenge as far as communication is concerned. They'll say, we do not know what is happening, we are not informed about the things that happen, and these now can only contribute to disengagement. Because if you're within an organization and you feel that you're not informed about what is happening, then it means that you're ignored and you're not important. And therefore what will happen is that your engagement, your commitment to the organization is not going to be very, very serious. The other attribute that will also help you evaluate the kind of culture that you have is decision making. That is who is involved in the decision making, how are the decisions made, who has authority to make what decision, is the decision making process, does it adhere to the organizational structure, or decisions are made elsewhere and by people who might not necessarily have the formal authority. What kind of decision making process do you have? That again will help you tell you the kind of organizational culture that you have. And finally, you may need to look at the strategy, the goals, the objectives. Are they clearly understood by everybody? Do they feel that they have a role to play in as far as the strategy is concerned? Now, when you pay attention, or if you looked at those, there are about 12 attributes that I've spoken about, then that will give you a very good indication of the kind of organizational culture that you have. Now, how can then be able to tell that the organizational culture that you have is not is a liability, it's not positive, it's not being helpful? Now, one of the first indications that your culture, organizational culture, is negative is when you have inadequate investment in people. That is, you don't make adequate investment in people. You lack accountability. You do not have diversity and inclusivity. You have poor behavior at the top. That is, the people at the top are not demonstrating the kind of behavior that is expected. And you don't have serious, or the ethical standards are unclear. Now, how then do you guard against this risk? Now, to guard against this risk, based on the attributes that you said, is you secure commitment on the top. That is, you get the top managers to commit to a positive organizational culture that is going to enable the things that we have just spoken about. You also charter a culture, the kind of culture that you want. You define the kind of culture that you want, and even if it is defined in the values, then living those values and ensuring that everybody is communicated to, understands what the values are and why they are important. That way, then you can be able to ensure that you have a positive organizational culture. Of course, it is important to, from time to time, to conduct an audit, a cultural audit. And the cultural audit will give you, through a questionnaire, through a set of questions that you can ask, which we'll be discussing in our next episode, you can be able to bring out the kind of culture that you are, where you are, and then you can be able to chart a way forward so that you can be able to move to the kind of desired organizational culture that you have. Thank you very much, and see you next time.